Hi there, my loves. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Clarissa. I put out new pick-a-card readings, sometimes tarot collective readings once a week. And this week, as I'm sure you can tell by the title of the video and the thumbnail, that this week's reading is all about what it is you need to release and let go of. So we have 3 different piles for you guys to choose from this week. First off, with group number 1, we have this piece of smoky quartz. Very beautiful. And then with group number 2, we have this piece of rose quartz. Also very, very beautiful. If we can get it to focus. Hello. That's a little bit better. Still a little funny. Sorry, y'all. I don't know why my camera likes to do this crap. It just like literally doesn't ever want to focus unless it's like right there. But anyway, rose quartz. And then for group number 3, we have this piece of hematite. All right. So those are our 3 different groups to choose from. Now for this week, I don't think it would be wrong for you to choose more than one. But I would encourage you to first listen to the group that you're like feeling most drawn to. But if you can't decide and you want to listen to the whole thing or 2 of them, that is perfectly fine. Just one, whatever works for you. But anyway, you can go ahead and pause the video if you need to at this time to make your selection for which pile you're the most drawn to. And then once you've done so, you can go to the description box down below and there will be individual timestamps for each reading. I'm really looking forward to this one, guys. I think this should be fun. This should be interesting, and hopefully it'll resonate and give you some perspective from having like an outsider tell you these things you need to let go of. So anyway, I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you shortly in your reading. Hi there, group number 1. As a reminder, if you chose the smoky quartz, then this is your reading this week in regard to what it is that you need to let go of. So you probably recognize this card. This was part of your pile selection, and you guys got get grounded, empaths, highly sensitives, connect with nature. You guys also got for today's reading the 2 of Wands, the 10 of Pentacles, the 8 of Cups, the Knight of Swords, and Strength. We have a couple different oracle decks as well that we'll get into once we've gone over this. Sorry, excuse me, I had to burp. But I just want to give a disclaimer that if it starts to get noisy in any way, I will pause the video and come back. I know that's been like an issue the last couple of videos, and I think it's just because it's finally getting warmer outside and people are outside more, doing things more. There for a while it was like dead quiet in the middle of winter, but now that we're like starting to approach spring, and it has been like a lot warmer here in Colorado the last couple of weeks, well, I don't even really want to say weeks, but the last couple weekends at least that I've been filming, I feel like that's why it's been so noisy. So hopefully we can get a little less of that this reading. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, my group number 1s. With what has come up for you guys so far, I feel like you need to let go of this idea that you have to always be practical. This idea that you can't trust yourself and your intuition to lead you in the right direction. I get this feeling that you've been split between your passions or what you really want to go after and what you believe to be practical. For instance, I feel like some of you may want to travel and explore, as we can kind of see here in the 2 of Wands, where, you know, she's like looking outside the window. It looks like she's longing for adventure. We have a globe here. We have like a van. And then this is like the stick, I feel like, or the wand, I feel like, that we're currently like living out in life, but like this is what we want to go for. But you may also want to meet someone, settle down, and start a family. It's perfectly okay to want both of those things, and you don't have to settle no, excuse me, sorry. I'm like looking at my little synopsis that I wrote up. Let's see. Like I said, it's perfectly okay for you to want both of those things, and you don't have to think that because you choose one, you can never have the other, because that's simply not true. Some people even have both at the same time, minus the settling down and buying a home part, of course. So what I mean by that is, there are a lot of people that have kids and travel and like don't live in one place all of the time, especially like really young kids before you have to like enroll them in school. And even after that point, there are people that like homeschool their kids and travel. It's not like something that's totally unfeasible for you. I think that spirit is wanting you to connect with nature and ground yourself, as we can see here, so that you can really separate your desires from what you believe you're supposed to do or what you believe you have to do. You need to let go of this notion that you can't have both. Like, when I was typing this up, I was hearing and seeing that commercial in my head, the old El Paso one, where it's like they're trying to decide what kind of tortilla shell, or not tortilla, taco shell that they're wanting to use. And then this little girl's like, ¿por qué no los dos? Why not both? So I feel like right now it is important for you to go where the wind blows you and do what most excites you. I feel like you've gotten all that you can out of your current situation, whether it be a job, a relationship, a living situation, whatever. And it's time to move on to the next chapter. I feel like some of you may be in a relationship, but maybe you both just want different things at this time. If you feel inclined to travel the world and your partner wants to get married and start a family now, you may need to really consider the future of your relationship. It's okay for a relationship to end if you ultimately need different things right now. So I don't know. That's kind of what I was feeling initially here with this duality. I feel like, maybe this is like what you've always thought that you would want, or like what you should be doing at the age that you're currently at, which is like starting a family, settling down, having a stable job, career that like brings in money so you can support yourself and your family and have a home and all of that good stuff. And like, again, it's not to say you can't have both at some point in your life, or that you can't have both right now, or that you can't, do one now and then have the other one later. But I really feel like for you guys right now, this is about like doing what you feel the most called to do, doing what your intuition is telling you to do. And I feel like for a lot of you, this has to do with like travel or starting a new career, or even like leaving behind an old relationship that just isn't working for you anymore. And that doesn't necessarily mean that things are bad in the relationship, right? Those are sometimes the hardest ones to leave, when things are perfectly fine, but maybe you guys just aren't growing at the same like rate that you used to together, or you just don't really want the same things out of life at this point. Like, they really want to get married and settle down, and you really want to like continue going on adventures and exploring. And of course the birds are making all of the noise now, not people, but sorry if you hear all the birds in the background. But anyway, I feel like, you've been torn by this for a while, and you feel like you need to do the most practical thing. You need to go ahead and like get that career that's stable so that you can get married and buy a home and have kids. And that's totally fine if that's what you're really wanting to do. But I really, really would implore you to ask yourself, like, is that what I really want right now? Is that what I want? Or is that something that I think I should want right now because other people my age are doing that, or because I always thought by the age of 25 I would be married and like be pregnant already, Like, it's just those kind of things that you may be holding on to, this like perfect world scenario, like ideology of like what your life should be right now. And it's okay if you want to just travel. It's okay if you want to leave things behind and you want to travel and explore, and you want to like really get to know yourself and see like what your interests are before you like commit to being a parent and a wife or husband, before you like really can fully commit to this person in this relationship. And I think that if you are at this crossroads where your partner wants one thing and you want another, again, like I had mentioned, it's okay if these things have to come to an end for now, so that you can explore what it is you really want and like go after what you really want. Like, don't hold yourself back just because of fear either. I feel like that's something that you really need to let go of, is this idea that you're going to pick the wrong thing. Okay. I just like want to say that I don't even think that's a thing. I don't think we pick the wrong thing for ourselves, right? I think that we always know like what is best for us, and we move in accordance with that, or we should. And the more that we fight that, the more difficult the situation that we're in becomes. Like the more we lose like that emotional like connection that we may have to a certain person or place or whatever, and the more likely we are to just like disappear in the night and be done, right? Because we've held on to this for so long, and really we needed to just let it go a long time ago. So I think you really need to let go of this idea that you don't know what's best for you, because you ultimately know what is best for you and like what you should be doing and what will serve your highest good at this time. That's why I think that Get Grounded came out for you guys, is because I think it's going to be really important for you to maybe do some meditation, to do some journaling, to have some quiet time, alone time outside, even, you know, go to a park, go to like maybe one of your favorite locations outside. For me, I love to like go somewhere and sit by the water because I feel the most peaceful when I sit by the water. If that's the case for you and you have the ability to do that, go sit outside, ground yourself into the earth, take your shoes off, put your bare feet on the ground, and really ground yourself, listen to yourself, do some deep breathing, and ask yourself, what is it that you really want? Because if you sit there long enough and you ask yourself, and you're not, the thing is, to you guys, I feel like you are a very rational person, and that there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being like very rational and logical. But sometimes, like, the thing that we need the most, the thing that we like really desire and want to go after, isn't the most logical thing. It's not the most practical decision, and that's okay. It's okay to not always be practical and logical in our decision making, and to go after things just because they make us excited, they make us happy, they make us feel alive. And I feel like for you guys especially, this is what you're needing to do. With strength coming out, I feel like it's Spirit's way of saying to be true to yourself, to allow yourself to be the most open and vulnerable with yourself, and to really acknowledge what it is that you want. And there is strength and vulnerability in going after what it is that we want, and it can be scary, it can be terrifying to go after these things, to like, you know, drop everything and start traveling the world, or to leave behind a relationship where the compatibility may just not be entirely there at this point, or to leave a career that maybe we've been in for, you know, X amount of years, and to start something different. Because I really feel like with the 8 of Cups coming up here, that you're done with this situation. You have been for a while, and you've been holding on maybe for the nostalgia, maybe out of fear, maybe out of guilt, and it's time to let go. It's time to let go and move toward something that really like inspires us. With the Knight of Swords coming up here too, you know, knights are ruled, I believe, by fire and by like the element of the card. Like, I don't know why I'm having difficulty thinking of the exact terminology, but knights themselves are fire, and then swords is air. So what I'm getting at with that is, you know, you're going to make the most like leaps and bounds and like have the most momentum when you're going after what you're actually passionate about, what you actually care about, as opposed to holding yourself back with like what you believe to be the most practical option available to you. So I think that it is really important for you to kind of just move past that fear. There is so much beauty beyond the fear that we build up in our brains, and ultimately, like, it is our brain just trying to keep us safe, but there is so much to be experienced and so much growth to happen beyond our comfort zone, like once we've passed that threshold of fear. And I think it's really important for you guys to acknowledge that and to go after, even if you're scared, just like go after it full force, even if it's scary, even if, you know, you're not completely sure. if it's something that excites you, it's something that, you know, you think about a lot, even if it's something that you like keep seeing a lot. So for instance, like I said, if you're somebody that like wants to travel, maybe you've been seeing a bunch of videos about people that quit their corporate jobs and have been traveling the world for a year plus, and the things that they've learned along the way. And, you know, maybe you keep seeing things like that, and it's really just like this reiteration to you, like this sign to you to just go for it. So if that's what you want, just go for it. Like, that's all that I'm really like feeling for you guys here. Is it's important for you to trust yourself, believe that you'll make the right decision for yourself, and let go of this idea too that you know, have to do either one or the other, that you have to either travel or start a family now. You can travel for like 5 years and come back and like get married and start a family. And you may be better inclined to like meet somebody that is on the same page as you, right? Because you'll have a better idea and a better sense of who you are, especially if like you're doing this by yourself. Like if you are gonna have to end a relationship and you're gonna be traveling by yourself, you're really gonna learn so much about you and like who you are, what you're capable of. And for some of you, I do feel like you could be doing this with a partner, but you and that partner would have to be on the same page of, you know, we're kind of done with working these 9-to-5 jobs. We really want to be able to explore and travel and like do that together. You know, even though we do eventually want to have a family together, we're okay with putting that on the back burner for now. But that has to be like a mutual decision between the both of you. That has to be something that both of you want, because if it's not something that both of you want and just one of you wants, that's how resentment builds up. And that's where issues in relationships stem from, right? So just keep that in mind. Like, I feel like, obviously, because this is like a general reading and there will be multiple people watching this, I feel like there are multiple things here that we're kind of deciding between. But ultimately, like, you guys need to let go of this distrust that you have with yourself. You need to really like believe in yourself, your intuition, go after like what you're being drawn toward, and, you know, stop thinking that every decision that you have to make has to be the most practical, logical, like best decision. Because the truth of the matter is that even if you did the practical thing and you decided to settle down and, you know, hold on to this career that maybe you don't love anymore, but it pays you well, and you know, have this family, you get married, there's still gonna be this part of you that will wonder, like, what if I would have done things differently? Because that family, those kids, that career, that's not ultimately going to be like what fulfills you. If there were other things that you wanted to do that you put on the back burner instead, right? Like if there were other things that you were being called to do and like you really wanted to do, and you know, put on the back burner because you had to have this stability and practicality in order to sustain this family. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and close my laptop here, get a drink of water, and then we will look at your oracle cards as well. Okay. So I think I said this earlier. I have 3 different decks that we'll take a look at to see if we can get any more information about what it is that you guys need to let go of. Okay. Let's go ahead and shuffle this guy. And I actually already pre-shuffled this deck pretty well. So we'll go ahead and just do one more of these. And then if anything, we'll just do one more shuffle, like one more big shuffle, and then we'll cut. Okay. We'll just pile number 1, need to let go of, Spirit. Transits, climate, and we have 3rd house, communication. So I think that really what's being said here is you need to let go of this idea that there's going to be this perfect timing also to like go about and do this, right? Like, because transits are happening like all of the time in astrology. Different things are transiting, other planets are transiting others, you know, certain planets are moving into different like signs, And this is happening like constantly, especially the moon, like it changes signs like every 2 days. And so I think that really like what's being said here for you guys is that you need to let go of this idea that there's going to be this perfect time to do this, right? That let's say for instance that you do go ahead and you start this family and you know, raise these kids, and it's, you know, been 20-25 years and all of your kids are out of the house and grown, and you're like, okay, this is perfect. Now like I can move on to the traveling time of my life. But somebody gets sick, or, you know, something happens to your home and you have to put all of this money into your house, or, you know, maybe one of your kids drops out of school and needs to live with you, and or maybe even one of those kids that you have has like special requirements even as an adult that you need to be there and like help them and, you know, help care for them still. So what I'm really getting at is like there's never going to be a perfect time to do the things that we're passionate about, to do the things that excite us, right? It's never going to be practical and perfect, and we're never going to be like just in the right time. And that's like always been my mindset, I feel like, is we can't depend on this idea that we're going to be able to have all of this time and that we're even going to have the privilege of growing old, right? Because we never know what's going to happen to us. We could get sick, we could die tomorrow, like we just don't know, right? And I'm not trying to like scare you, I'm not trying to like fear monger here, so like I'm sorry if that was a little much, but what I'm really trying to say is like there's never going to be a perfect time to do what you want to do. So if you want to do it, go after it now. There's no time like the present. We only have this moment right now. The future is not guaranteed and the past is already gone. So if you're wanting to change careers, if you're wanting to end a relationship, if you're wanting to travel, do it now. There's no time like the present, and that's the only time that we're guaranteed is the time that we have now. Like we don't know what the future has in store for us, okay? So let go of this idea that you have to do everything like in a perfect timing and that everything has to be done just right. And it's just not like that. That's not how real life is. That's not how things unfold. And we just have to be appreciative of the time that we have now and what's available to us now, what's in front of us now. With the third house coming up with communication, I feel like maybe there's this fear that if you express this to other people or to your partner, that it's going to end up being an issue. Especially I'm feeling like this is something that's coming up for you, like because maybe, you know, you've been feeling this way for a while and you just haven't verbalized it to your partner or anyone else. And, you know, we don't know how other people are going to respond unless we actually communicate how we feel. So you need to like release these thoughts and like these feelings into reality, right? Like if they're just in your head, then they're just thoughts that you're having in your head. You have to like actually verbalize these things and communicate with a partner, especially if like you guys, if you feel like your partner would be somebody that like would be willing to put things on the back burner in terms of like starting a family now and you guys could travel together, like, but you need to express these things to your partner that you're not wanting to get married right now, you're not wanting to start a family right now, you're not wanting to do those things. I feel like that's really, really, really important. So ultimately, like, make sure that you're communicating, you're not keeping everything bottled up, because again, like, that's what's going to lead us to resentment. If our partner just thinks, oh, we're on the same page and like we want the same things, and then they propose and then you guys get engaged because you're like, okay, you know, maybe this is my sign that I need to do this, but you never expressed like how you actually feel to your partner, then you can't be mad at anybody but yourself there if we're not communicating, because it's our job to express our feelings, to communicate with other people what's going on. Otherwise, how are they to know, right? So I really feel like this is coming up as a reminder to like release your thoughts and feelings and communicate, and don't just keep things bottled up, because that's not going to get you anywhere, and it's not going to lead you to this ultimate like decision and this place of understanding with yourself and a partner, with yourself and whoever may be in your equation, right? Okay, so let's take a look at our next deck here and see we can get any other additional information here about what it is we need to release, what it is we need to let go of, my group number ones. Oops, that was a lot. It was like 10 cards. Not quite what I'm looking for, maybe like 1 or 2. Go ahead and oops, let's go ahead and cut. Oop. Come to the edge. And we also have orphaned. Okay. So I really feel like come to the edge is coming out here because, again, it's time for you to do what scares you, to go after what you want, even if it's not practical, even if it's not logical, even if like you think it's a stupid idea, but it's something that excites you and that you really want to go after. What's the harm in trying? Like, I know we've been talking a lot here about travel because like that's just kind of what I've been feeling. It may be the case for the vast majority of you, but what could possibly be holding us back, right? It's only our own fear, because ultimately, like, if we go to other countries and we absolutely hate it, we can come back home. And trust me, like, if you've never traveled abroad, you're not gonna hate it. Especially if you enjoy traveling, you're not gonna hate it. But, you know, even if we are terrified because we're gonna have to do it by ourselves, or, you know, we're scared then that when we come back, we will be alone, right? That's why I feel like orphaned is coming out here. It's this fear of being by ourselves. And I think that that's why you making this change, whatever it is for you guys, like I mentioned, you know, it may just be you leaving a relationship where you guys aren't growing in the same direction anymore, you wanting to travel, you wanting to leave behind a job that no longer serves you. You know, you're not going to be left to grieve and be by yourself. You know, it's really important that we go after the things that we want. And I really believe that everything happens in the right time, right? So, you know, if you have to leave behind a partner that doesn't want to do that with you right now, and you guys end up, you know, breaking up your relationship, that's scary, especially if you've been with somebody for a long time. That's scary, that's terrifying. But sometimes it has to be done so that we can grow and we can like experience what it is we're needing to. And just because like that relationship's gone, that doesn't mean that that won't open doors for new relationships. That doesn't mean that we're always going to be by ourselves, that we're never going to find anybody else to love us, and that we'll never get married, we'll never have kids. And you know, that's kind of like what I'm feeling is the issue here ultimately with you guys, is you feel like if you choose one, it's going to completely like, it's going to mean that you cannot have the other one ever, right? So if you choose to leave things behind and travel and do what you want now, it's going to mean that you'll never be able to have kids, you'll never be able to have a family, you'll never be able to have that stability, and that's just not true. So don't feel like because you would leave this person behind, if they're not on the same page as you, that you'll never be able to find somebody again. Like, that's just not the truth, okay? And if this, for instance, is about you leaving behind a job that no longer serves you and that you no longer enjoy, you know, it's scary to come to the edge here and to look over and see like what our possibilities are, right? The possibility of like falling over the edge and falling off the cliff, terrifying. But just know that like you're not going to be left alone. You're not going to be left out to starve. You know, I feel like it's so important for you guys to do this coming to the edge thing, like, and being brave and going after what you want in order for you to better connect with yourself, to have the kind of relationships you want moving forward, and to not have any regrets, right? Because ultimately, like I said earlier, you only have right now. You can plan for the future and you can like want things to work out, but that doesn't mean that they will. That doesn't mean that you know, because you plan for retirement or you plan to travel after your kids are grown, that doesn't mean that you'll get the opportunity to. You know, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm not trying to like fear monger in any way, but really all we have is this moment right now. So take advantage of it, and don't worry that you're going to be left out in the cold alone, because that's just not the case. And I feel like that maybe a lot of it is you feel like you're going to be rejected and that you're not going to have anybody when it's all said and done, like you'll be alone, and that's just not the case. Okay, like that is our brain tricking us into our own like safety and security that we have currently. And again, sometimes we have to step beyond that comfort zone in order for us to really grow and elevate ourselves. Okay, so we got one last deck here. Let's go ahead. It's getting loud outside. I may need to pause. I'm gonna pause. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that, you guys. I'm back. There was just like somebody from maintenance like scraping up poop and they were listening to music. So anyway, let's just go ahead and get back into it. I did shuffle for these cards off camera. Just wanted to see like what last piece of advice Spirit may have for you guys. And we have be bold and make the first move, cardinal moon, and then bring love into the situation, new moon in Aquarius. So with the be bold and make the first move, I feel like, you know, this is exactly what we've been talking about. You guys need to be bold. You need to believe in yourself, trust that you're taking yourself in the right direction, and go for it. Quit doubting yourself and what you know to be true about what you need. And then with bring love into the situation, you know, again, as I had mentioned here, like you guys are not going to be orphaned. You're not going to be left alone. Just because you make a decision to like move away and, you know, do what's best for you, that doesn't mean that, you know, you're gonna struggle. That doesn't mean that you'll never find love again, or you'll never be with somebody else again. It's just not true. These are lies your brain is telling you because you're safe and comfortable right now and it wants you to stay there. Your brain is just as afraid of new things and possible dangers. So that's what keeps us scared and stuck a lot of the time. And so I think that you really need to, with the bring love into this situation coming out, I feel like you need to tap more into how you're feeling. And again, that's why I think it'll be important for us to do some of this grounding, meditating, but tapping into how we're feeling, bringing like love and appreciation for yourself into the situation, as well as bringing that sense of respect for ourselves and our decisions, being gentle on ourselves, bringing some of that back into the equation, as well as, you know, love for other people. Because again, like if we're in this relationship where your partner wants one thing and you want another, we're just holding each other back at that point, right? And it's okay to end things to show people love and compassion. And sometimes the best thing that we can do for us to grow individually as people is to let go and release and release them, right? And that can be the most loving thing that we can do. But also like love yourself and trust yourself and know that you're gonna make the right decision for you. Like you're never gonna make a wrong decision, okay? Like we make the decisions that we do, and we always learn and grow and change from them. And that's what's important, right? Is that we're always continuing to learn and grow. So stop holding yourself back, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys this reading here. I really enjoyed this one, my group number ones. I hope that you did too, and I hope that this message resonated for you. If it did, please leave me a comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up so that it can reach as many other people as possible that may need to hear this message. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. I put out new pick a card readings, sometimes a tarot collective reading once a week. I love you guys so much, and I'm hoping all the best for you. And I hope that you learn to love and trust yourself in making the right decisions for you. But anyway, I love you guys, and I hope to see you in a future video. Thanks for joining me. Bye. Hi there, my group number twos. As a reminder, if you chose the rose quartz, I was going to call it the pink quartz, but if you chose this rose quartz, then this is your reading this week regarding what it is that you need to let go of, what it is you need to release. You'll probably recognize this card. This was part of your pile selector, and so you guys got Imrama. Where are you being called to journey to? You also got the World, the Hanged Man, the Five of Swords, the Page of Swords, and the Two of Cups. Just as a disclaimer, it's been a little bit noisier outside today. I did have to pause group number one's video as well. So if I have to pause yours, I will, and then I'll come right back once the noise dies down. I think it's just been a little bit noisier lately because it's actually been nice out the last couple weekends here. So anyway, just letting you guys know, my cat is also in the room, but she's been like napping. This is her sleep time, so hopefully we won't have a lot of disturbance there. I do have 3 additional oracle decks as well that we'll get into once we've touched on these cards here. So I'm going to be honest with you guys, what's really drawing me in the most about your tarot cards is the Page of Swords and the Five of Swords here. And I really feel like the Page of Swords is almost like our theme here. I feel like there's something that you've been sitting on for a while that you've been thinking about and considering. And especially with this being the Page of Swords, I feel like maybe some of you are potentially wanting to go back to school. Maybe you're like wanting to learn something new, like, you know, take on like an apprenticeship, or even like starting to study something different like tarot or astrology. It could be anything though, it doesn't have to be just those 2 things, but I feel like there's something you've been thinking about learning more about for a while. And for some of you, I do think that this has to do with you potentially wanting to go back to school. However, with the Five of Swords coming out here, I feel like there's this part of you, there's this voice in your head that tells you that you're not smart enough and you're not capable enough to do these things, to learn this new skill, to go back to school, to, you know, take on learning this this new whatever it is, right? Like this new subject or whatever. And I feel like there's a part of you that doubts yourself and your own capabilities of like what you're able to accomplish. And I feel like it may also be that other people have told you you're not very bright, you're not good at school, you're not capable of like getting a master's degree or a doctorate or even getting your bachelor's. And I don't think that that is the truth for you. I think that unfortunately other people have projected a lot of their own shit onto you. And usually that's the case anyway, is people are projecting their own shit onto us, and it has nothing to do with us and like what we're actually capable of. And then with Imrama coming out here, where you're being called, or where are you being called to journey to? Like, what are you being called to do right now? What is sparking your interest? Like, what ideas seem to keep floating through your head? I know for me, for instance, whenever I'm thinking about something, I look into the options like multiple times. So like maybe you're similar where, you know, if you've thought about going back to school, maybe you've looked at different schooling options for a while for yourself. And maybe you just haven't had the courage to actually like go out and apply for those things yet. Especially like with the Hanged Man coming out here, I do feel like you're holding yourself back, and I think that something you really need to let go of is this idea that you're not smart or capable enough to do what you're wanting to do, to like actually bring your ideas and ground them into reality and like spend the time studying and learning these new things. I also want to say to you guys too, I forgot to mention this, if you felt at all drawn to group number 1, you may want to listen to that reading as well, because it's so funny. When I was shuffling these cards, like the same exact tarot cards almost wanted to come out initially, and I was like, I'm hoping there's some sort of different message I can give my group number 2s, and like I literally put those cards back and like reshuffled my deck a couple of times because it was just so weird that all of those, like almost all of the cards, I think it was like 3 or 4 of the 5 that group number 1 had came out, and I was like, there's gotta be like a different message in here. And I didn't want to just like repeat the same message that I did with group number 1. So if that, like, you know, resonates for you, please go back and listen to group number 1 as well, because there might be something in there for you. But I really feel like for you guys, what Spirit is saying here is to go after what you're being called to do, and to not allow like your own subconscious beliefs about what you think you're capable of to hold you back. Because from what I'm seeing here, to be completely honest with you, I feel like you're going to find like people by doing this. So like, let's say you're going to go back to school, for instance, like let's say you want to go back to school for your master's in psychology, and you're like terrified to do it. You don't know if you're capable of it. You're sitting there like building up all of what school is, especially if you already got your bachelor's. Like, you know, college is hard, college is difficult. It's, you know, writing papers and making sure that you're turning in assignments at the right time, and, you know, sometimes dealing with incompetent professors, and you're like, I don't know if I can do that now, especially if you're somebody that is in a completely different stage of your life, and you have kids, or you're married, or, you know, you have a full-time job and you have a mortgage, and you're gonna have to keep your full-time job to pay your mortgage. You're just like, I don't know if I can do it all. And I really feel like even if you think that you're like smart enough and capable enough, you just have this doubt that you're going to be able to accomplish this and actually do it. And I feel like with the 2 of Cups coming out here, this is like 2 different things here. So I feel like for some of you, this is going to reflect like the people that you meet, like when you do actually go into your master's program, like in this example, the people that you meet and you connect with, and you like almost find your people, like people that get you and that understand you, and like you'll find your own little tribe. Maybe you'll find other people that are going back later in life for their master's degree, other people with kids, other people that are married, other people that are working full time, and you're really going to be able to build these like connections with other people. And then also I feel like for some of you, if you are married, or, you know, you do have kids, maybe your partner is really going to be there for you and be supportive of you making this decision to go back to school. And they're going to, maybe like you guys will be able to work something out where they would cut back their hours so they can like take care of the kids more, take care of the house more while you get school done. Or maybe they would allow you to cut back your hours at work so that you can focus more on school. Maybe they'll pick up more shifts, maybe they'll do whatever. But like, I feel like you're gonna have a support system. And I feel like for all of you, that the people in your life, when you tell them that like this is what you're wanting to do, and even if it's not going back to school, but maybe you're like wanting to take on some sort of apprenticeship to learn some sort of skill, like, or maybe you're just wanting to like be self-taught and like, you know, learn like tarot and astrology are like the examples that are coming up for me, but that obviously doesn't have to be like what you're trying to learn, but just things that you're actually able to like learn on your own, right? Maybe you're wanting to become like a registered dietitian or like a nutritionist or whatever. But I feel like you're going to like meet very supportive people along the way that like get you and you're able to connect with, and it's gonna like open up your circle of like friends and connections, or like also you're going to have like a very good support system at home as well that like makes sure that you have time to study, that you have time to get assignments done, that you're not like overloaded with the things that you need to do. But ultimately, you guys, I'm feeling like you really just need to believe in yourself. And if you want this, like if this is what you're being called to do, you need to go for it. I do feel like with the world coming out here, like the hard work and the dedication that you put into learning this new like skill or craft or going back to school is really going to pay off for you in the end. You're going to learn so much more about yourself and that like your resiliency, what you're able to take on, and you're just going to feel so much more capable. I feel like maybe for a while, like, and maybe this is why this is coming up, maybe you feel like you're not as capable as you once thought you were in accomplishing these things or getting what you want done, especially like if you have these other circumstances like a husband or wife or a family or whatever. And I feel like you're just you are stopping yourself. And that's what you really need to like let go of, is this idea that you're not capable or that you wouldn't be successful. And you really need to just go for it if that's what you're being called to do, because I really do feel like you guys are going to be successful and you're going to accomplish what you want, and it's going to open so many different doors and avenues for you by doing this. Like, you know, even if it's just you learning how to like read tarot or like read birth charts, like you can then kind of start your own business doing that. You could do that on YouTube like I do. You could do that on TikTok. You could do it on Instagram. Like you could start doing things and like building up a portfolio, and like you could become very successful as long as you actually dedicate that time and energy into it. Like as long as you make sure that you go full force into what you're wanting to do. It's very important, I feel like, for you guys not to like quote unquote half-ass it, right? So if you're gonna go back to school, make sure that you're studying and you're getting what you can out of like your classroom time, out of your textbooks, out of your study time, even like studying with other people, making those connections. Like that was one thing, like from my own life, personal example here, like when I went to nursing school, I needed my nursing school friends. Like we are trauma bonded for life being in nursing school. Those are some of my closest friends, and they always will be, because we had that bond and that connection. And we spent so many hours studying together, crying together, laughing together, you know, talking about school and about our future work lives and talking about all of that. And we really built connection and community with one another, and that was like super important to get me through nursing school. If I didn't have those girls, I would not have made it through nursing school. Let's be real, okay? So I think that's another thing too, is that I'm hearing coming through, is you need to let go of this idea that you need to do everything on your own, right? You need to rely on your community, rely on your support systems, and have those people help lift you up during this time if you're really wanting to accomplish this. It's going to be very important for you overall for you to have that community and that support so that you can be successful, so that you can learn as much as you need to. You can like, you know, pass all of your tests and graduate and get the kind of internship or job or whatever it is that you're wanting to propel yourself forward in this like new avenue of life. So yeah, I think that ultimately like we need to let go of this fear that we won't be able to accomplish what we want, and we need to let go of this idea that we have to do everything by ourselves. I feel like that is such a flaw in our society in general, is this individualism, like this, it's like this toxic level of like being individualistic and not relying on our communities and our support systems. And I feel like as human beings, especially in the US, we could do a better job of that. So rely on those people and those things, allow them to help you and support you and lift you up, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna take a drink of water real quick, and then we will get into your oracle cards here. Okay. Oops. Grabbed like one extra there. Okay. So what additional information can you give us, Spirit, about what group number 1 needs to release? What do they need to let go of? Oops. Okay, I'm gonna do one more shuffle and we'll just cut. These cards are newer, so they're just like not as bendable yet, you know? They're not super flexible yet for me. Okay. Let's see here. Progressions, journey, and conjunction, alliance. Okay, I love it. So with the progressions coming out here, I think that also something you guys are needing to let go of is this idea that, you know, you're going to be able to accomplish what you need to like overnight, right? It's okay to allow things to progress and to like enjoy the journey that we're on while we're trying to accomplish what we want. So for instance, you know, like personal example again, since we were talking about going back to school, you know, when I was in nursing school, that was 2 years. That's not to say you can't fast track it and do it differently, but I think it's important for you to take the time that you need to learn what you need to learn, right? Sometimes when we fast track and we like want to get things done in like 9 months or a year, sometimes we're not actually like getting all of the knowledge that we could by taking our time and like allowing ourselves to digest things more slowly. I feel like ultimately what Spirit's saying is it's okay to allow yourself to enjoy the journey. Let go of this idea that you need to like be this master's level scholar overnight, or that you need to know everything even by the time that you graduate. Like again, personal example, when I graduated nursing school, I passed my boards, and I still felt like I knew nothing. And that's okay. Like it's okay to feel like you know nothing. I feel like that allows you to be a sponge and soak up information so much easier. So like if you need to, even after you graduate or even after you finish like this self-paced like journey of learning, like I know people that are like self-taught astrologers or self-taught tarot readers, myself included, that learned like over years and years and years and years and years, and then even after that sometimes seek like a mentor or like some other level of professional guidance. So you know, let's say like we had used for earlier that you were getting your master's in psychology. Let's say that you finish that program. It takes you probably about 2 years or so on average. You finish that program and you feel like you still aren't ready to like actually go out and practice at a clinical level. There are fellowships, there are different things that you can do, internships, to like get the hours and like the experience that you feel like you need to be like more comfortable and confident. It's okay to like take things slowly. We don't have to see results right away overnight. It's okay to enjoy the journey and the progression of everything, okay? So just take the time that you need and don't rush yourself. Don't feel like you need to have everything done in like 6 months. It's okay if you don't. It's okay even if it takes you longer than 2 or 3 years to get your master's, especially if you're somebody that has a family and has a full-time job. Like it's okay, take your time. I think that honestly we learn best anyway when we're able to digest information more slowly and we don't just like shove it into our brain all at once, right? So that's okay. Like let go of this idea that you have to like have everything nailed in, or like you have to graduate by a certain time, or you have to do this by a certain time. Like it's just not the case. And then with conjunction alliance, I feel like this is coming up to again represent the Two of Cups here, which again I feel like is us relying on our community, us having like these alliances, these relationships, and these support systems that will help us get through and help us accomplish our goals. And it's okay to rely on those things, as I had mentioned before. Okay, let's take a look at this second deck here and see if there's any additional information we can get. And like, you know, another thing to remember here with astrology, like with conjunctions, usually like these planets that are conjunct are like within an alliance with each other. Like they understand each other, they work together a little bit better, they don't have this level of opposition. So it's like your support system's understanding that you may need somebody to watch your kids for 4 hours while you study, or you know, your spouse recognizing that they may need to pick up some of the like household duties while you're studying, while you're like getting your degree, while you're focusing on your education, like whatever it may be for you. Okay, let's do one more shuffle here and then cut. So you guys got message in a bottle, and we also have a change in the wind. Okay. So I feel like the change in the wind is actually like very much so in conjunction here with this Page of Swords card, because I feel like there is, again, that change that we've been wanting to make for a while, these ideas that we've been having about, you know, higher education, about learning a skill or trade, or being self-taught in something. And I think that ultimately, like, we need to just take that step and move forward. We can no longer hang out here in the Hanged Man in limbo. We have to take those next steps. So, like, for instance, if we're wanting to get our master's in psychology, we need to start applying to master's programs so that we can get accepted and we can start that journey, because that's the big thing, right? Is we actually have to, like, take those steps and start that journey in order for us to get where we want to go. And I feel like with Message in a Bottle, this is coming up because this is literally your sign. Like, if you've been waiting for this sign to get started and to do this and to go after like this new opportunity, this new idea, like, this is your sign to do it. So Spirit is literally saying, like, stop thinking about it. Let's actually go for it. Let's start like taking actionable steps to get us where we want to go and move in that right direction. Okay, and then we have one last deck here. We'll take a look at any final messages, Spirit, that you have for group number 2 regarding what they need to let go of. So shuffle once more, and we'll cut. All right. Have faith in your dreams, and the answers you need are coming. Okay, love it. Okay, have faith in your dreams. I think that that one is very self-explanatory. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in your ability to accomplish these dreams, these goals that you have for yourself. Know that you're capable. Know that people are going to support you along the way, and you're going to come out like this new person with all these new opportunities and these new like insights and perspectives that you've learned from like this education that you've received. So have faith in yourself, have faith in your dreams. I really do feel like you're going to be able to accomplish so much, and stop doubting yourself, stop doubting how powerful you are and how capable you are of getting yourself where you want to be. And then the answers you need are coming. Again, I think that ultimately, like, why this is coming out is because you guys, again, I feel like you guys have doubted yourself. Maybe you've needed like this message from Spirit. Again, like I said with Message in the Bottle, sorry with the car horn outside, that was rude. With the Message in the Bottle, remember, like I said, you know, this is your message from Spirit. This is like Spirit saying, go for it. Like, you've been sitting on it for a while and you need to just go ahead and go for it. And maybe like you didn't know how you were going to make this happen logistically. Maybe it's time that you start really talking about this with your partner, with your community, with your support systems, so that you can have a little bit of a plan in place of, okay, like if I'm going to do this, am I going to work full time? Am I going to be able to go down to part time? Am I going to have somebody that is there to like help make sure the house is maintained, the kids are maintained, whatever it is, you know? So I think that these answers will come for you once you actually start communicating. This is what I'm doing. I've been sitting on this for a while and I really want to start applying to these programs, or I really want to start learning this, or I really want to the birds have been so loud today. I really want to like take this course or whatever so that I can learn, you know, more about tarot or astrology, or I don't know, nutrition or whatever it is, right? And I feel like the more that you communicate, because ultimately Gemini is like the sign that is of communication, like all the air signs are, but especially like the 3rd house, which Gemini rules, is about like the whole, like the communication. It's about how we bring our thoughts and our feelings into the world verbally. And so I think that it'll be really important for you guys to communicate what you need and to communicate like what you're wanting. And I feel like more and more of the answers to like these problems that maybe you formulated in your head as to why you can't go back to school or why you can't pursue this will like, you know, come to light, and you'll be like, oh, okay, well, that's actually like a really easy fix, or that's a really easy solution. Okay, this was another one of my worries, like how can we work this out? So just be open, be communicative, and, you know, start looking for solutions to these problems that maybe you formulated with you going back to school, or, you know, taking on this new internship, apprenticeship, whatever it is. So anyway, with the birds chattering away, I'm gonna go ahead and end your guys' reading here. I really enjoyed this one, group number 2. I hope that you did as well. And if this resonated for you, please leave me a comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up so that it can reach as many other people as possible that may need to hear this message. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do put out new pick a card readings, sometimes like tarot collective readings once a week. So anyway, again, I love you guys so much. I really hope that you go ahead and start making plans and setting things in motion, because I think that you have the capability to really take the world by storm. I love you guys, and I hope to see you in a future reading. Thank you for joining me. Bye. Hi there, my group number 3s. As a reminder, if you chose the hematite, then this is your reading this week regarding what it is you need to let go of. I do have 3 additional oracle card decks that we'll get into once we've touched on all of this, but this was the card that was a part of your pile selection. So you guys got Break the Chain, Ancestral Patterns, Healing, Rewriting the Future. And then you also got the High Priestess, the 2 of Cups, the 2 of Swords, the 10 of Swords, and the 5 of Cups. So, first of all, I just want to say that I understand what it's like to be a generational pattern curse breaker. You just probably have always felt a little bit like an outsider. You've probably felt like, you know, you just don't agree with the way that society wants things to be done, with the way your family wants things to be done, with the way your family has always done things, and you decided to break that chain. And if you haven't yet, then that is something that you're probably going to be doing a lot in your life. And it can be very lonely and isolating work, especially when, or if you're in a situation where your family and you can no longer communicate with one another because you have such opposing views on certain things, or they really don't agree with your life choices and they cannot be supportive of you. And so I just wanted to take a minute and say that my heart goes out to you. And I don't know why, like, I got excited and sad when I was laying your cards out, because I think that the work that you're going to be doing on yourself in this lifetime is so important. And I think that it's going to be really important in terms of like healing your family's wounds and traumas and pain that has been passed down for generations. I really do think that this is real stuff, that the things that our ancestors go through can have a lasting impact on generations to come. And unfortunately, sometimes it's up to the generations to come to break those patterns and curses, right? And it doesn't even have to be something crazy. It can literally be the fact, and this is something I think about all the time, the fact that as a woman, the women that came before me were expected to and often forced to get married very young, have children very young, never got the opportunity to really know themselves outside of being a spouse, being a parent. And I personally think that that's why there's such a lack of understanding between the generations, because my generation, I'm technically a millennial, we are the generation that I feel like has had such a contradictory enter into society, because while we have the most opportunity than the women that have come before us, we also have had a lot of issues with the financial side, with the economy, with being told to go to school and get an education and then being put in massive amounts of debt. But at the same time, you know, we don't have to rely on having a spouse to make it. We can live on our own, and we can, you know, work for ourselves and have our own jobs and have our own money, have our own bank accounts. And we don't have to rely on someone to financially provide for us, right? And it can literally be just as simple as that, as being the one that is choosing to not get married until you're in your 30s, or even later, choosing not to have children, choosing not to even like take the traditional route and go to school. Maybe you decided you were going to travel instead and take time off before you figured out what you wanted to settle down and do. And that is breaking the chain. That is, you know, doing things differently, and having the freedom to be able to express ourselves differently than our ancestors did. And there's a lot that we have access to and that we're able to do that our ancestors weren't able to do. And I think it's important to acknowledge those things, and to know that, you know, you don't have to break every single curse in your generation, like in your ancestral line, but just by doing some of those things, we are breaking the chain, we are breaking the pattern of those that came before us. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. I believe I already said which cards you had, but maybe I didn't. I just kind of started rambling. So again, we got Break the Chain, we have the High Priestess, the Two of Cups, the Two of Swords, the Ten of Swords, and the Five of Cups. So, I feel like maybe for some time it was hard for you, and maybe it even is still hard for you at times, to listen to your intuition and what you know you want for yourself. I do feel like some of you have psychic abilities, and I think that you need to listen more to those innate feelings of knowing, and less to what your family and what society wants you to do. To me, especially in this deck, the Two of Swords always looks like somebody trying to make their own decisions while being blindfolded and having people squawk at them, right? Having people yell at them and tell them how they should live their life and what they should do. And in all reality, you actually already know what's best for you. You know what path you want to walk. And I think that's something that kind of comes with being a chain breaker, a generational curse breaker, is you know that the standard way of being is not for you. For instance, for myself at a young age, I knew that I didn't want to ever rely on somebody financially, because I saw my mother do that. I knew that I wanted to have a spouse that contributed to the household more than just finances, that helped clean and cook and take care of the home, because again, I saw my mother do all of that, and I knew that wasn't for me, and I knew that from a very young age. And I feel like you guys have also known from a very young age, whatever like the pattern is that you've seen before you, that you wanted to break. So maybe, for instance, your parents were verbally and physically abusive, and they didn't have to be like, you know, parents that beat you to death, but parents that hit you and spanked you for discipline, and then you knew from an early age that you didn't want to do that. And maybe you're going to be gentle parenting, which is also called authoritative parenting. People have like all sorts of opinions on that, but please keep in mind that that is not permissive parenting. Gentle parenting is very different. You're still setting boundaries with your children, but you are not physically attacking them when they do something incorrectly, right? So it could be something like that. And I feel like you've known for a very long time, probably since you were younger, that you were, if you ever had kids, you weren't going to raise them that way, that you were going to do things differently than your parents did. And I feel like, again, you've always kind of known these things, and I feel like you do have this very strong intuition, and you have this very strong sense of self. And because of that, your family and the people that disagree with your way of like wanting to do things and your way of being, they squawk at you and they yell at you and they tell you that you're wrong and they tell you that you don't know what you're talking about. But let me just be the one to tell you guys here, the thing that you really need to let go of is what other people think. Caring about what other people think about your life and your decisions and the things that you want for yourself, right? Because you have very strong intuitive gifts. I feel like your psychic abilities may not be that obviously you're clairvoyant or that you can actually see spirit. Maybe some of you can, but I feel like you may have clairsentience where you get that feeling that something's not right or that something's not for you, and you're really good at like sticking to that. And so don't let anybody blindfold you and lead you into the wrong direction when you know what is best for you. Stand strong in this intuition, stand strong in this sense of self that you have, and don't allow other people to bring you down. And I do want to say again, as I had mentioned, I know this can be difficult. I feel like some of you that are watching may have strained relationships with parents or with other family members that were once very important to you or even are still very important to you. And I understand that that is hard and that is lonely. Unfortunately, sometimes the ancestral pattern breaker can live a very isolating life from their family because you're choosing to do things differently, and sometimes that can rub people the wrong way, okay? And sometimes we do need to distance ourselves from people that don't align with us and that don't support us, right? And that continually like degrade us, make us feel bad about ourselves and our decisions, or call us stupid, call us ungrateful, call us whatever it is, right? It's not okay to keep people like that in your life that continue to verbally abuse you and think that they still have some level of power over you when you're a grown adult. I'm sure the people that are watching this are grown adults, and if you're not yet, unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait it out until you're out of your parents' home. But don't allow people to make you feel less than and make you feel like you have to do things a certain way to be loved and to be honored. Because with the Two of Cups coming up here, I feel like what Spirit is saying to you guys is that when you let go of these people that don't support you and don't like truly care about what it is you want for your own life and like the direction that you want to move in and like honor you as your own like actual human being with your own thoughts and feelings, when you let go of those people, even though it will be hard, you are going to meet people that do honor you, that do see you for who you are as like your own individual person and love and respect you for that. People that like want to be there and support you and just like really truly genuinely connect with you and care for you. And again, this does not have to be like romantic relationships. These can be friendships. Like you can make your own family, right? Like with your friends. You don't have to just abide to these familial relationships because they're your family. When family treats you like shit, they don't get a pass just because they're family. It's okay to cut those people off and move on from those situations and move toward people that actually care about us and actually like want to see us genuinely happy and don't just want to control us and our life. And you know, unfortunately too, like that is something like that may be the pattern that you came here to break, is this pattern of accepting abuse from family just because they're family. We don't have to do that. We don't have to associate ourselves with those people. We don't have to be around those people just because they're family. And our ancestors didn't always have those options. That wasn't always something that they had the ability to do, is cut off these terrible toxic human beings just because they're family members, whereas you do have the ability to do that. And again, I recognize that that's hard. I literally see people talking about it on TikTok all of the time lately, because I don't know if you're on TikTok or not, but there's been a lot going on with like boomer parents, especially boomers, but Gen X parents as well, getting on saying they don't understand why their children are no contact with them, why their children don't speak to them. And it literally just has to do with the fact that these parents don't own up to what they've done and don't acknowledge that their children now are grown adults with their own thoughts and feelings and views of the world, right? And they still want to have this control over their children, and they're adults and they have their own lives. And you know, when you don't try to change and when you don't acknowledge your shortcomings, and you don't apologize for the things that you did, and instead you in turn gaslight your children, like, that's your problem. And like, I could go on a tangent with that for days. So if that's the case for you and your parents, you know, deny that they ever were abusive, they deny that the problem is them, they don't try to make any changes, you can only hold on to that shit for so much or for so long. Sometimes you just have to let go. And, you know, that's not to say that you guys could never have a relationship again, but they have to understand that they have to make changes. They have to do things differently, and they can't speak to you maybe the same way they did when you were, you know, a teenager, right? So again, like I said, I understand it's difficult. I understand it's hard. But I think ultimately you guys need to let go of these family members that are not supportive, and you need to continue doing the work that you are already doing, breaking that chain, and stop letting other people's like negativity, other people's thoughts cloud your intuition and cloud your decisions. Because I think ultimately, again, you know, like what you're supposed to be doing. You have a very strong sense of self, of who you are, of what you want, and you need to honor that. You need to be true to that. And if your family decides that, you know, that's not good enough for them, then you guys should probably go separate ways for a while. Like, the one thing that's coming to my head that has been for a while is, for instance, if you are part of the LGBTQIA community and maybe you have very conservative Christian family or parents, and you know, have never come out to them, and now as an adult you finally do, and they cut you off. Or they tell you they don't agree with your lifestyle and you're not allowed to bring a partner around, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that in their presence. Maybe you shouldn't be coming around them at all then. If they can't accept you for who you are and love you for who you are, then you need to, again, seek the community and the people that will. And we can build our own families away from our actual biological family if needed, when our biological family are terrible people that don't accept us. So anyway, I'm gonna take a drink of water. But yeah, ultimately, like, letting go of this idea that your intuition is not correct, because it is. Letting go of these people that don't love you and support you, if needed, if that, you know, is part of your situation, and allowing yourself to be loved and cherished by those that do. Okay? So let's go ahead and get into the rest of these oracle cards here for you guys. And I'm sorry, I feel like your guys' reading is so much heavier. But it is heavy, and it is hard to be a generational curse breaker, and I totally get that and understand that. And I know that cutting people off and ending certain relationships is not always easy, but sometimes it is necessary, it's needed. Sorry if you're hearing the geese outside. They're literally going ape shit today. I don't know what their problem is. That's the one thing. I don't know what it is. I usually love all animals, but the geese, man, the freaking geese, they are too much. Okay. So let's see if we can get any additional information here about what it is group number 3 needs to release, needs to let go of. And I also think you need to let go of this idea that it's like that you're not the generational curse breaker, right? I think that maybe like you have been in denial, or maybe you know, I don't know. I just get this feeling that maybe it's like a label that you just haven't taken on. And not saying you have to label yourself, but I think it is important to recognize that that's something that you came here to do, is to live life differently than the people before you did. The damn geese, I swear. I've been doing this for every video. I swear to God. Okay. So we got Virgo, we got digest. And let's see if we can get one more card for you guys here. We also have Chiron heal. Yep, makes sense. Okay, so something that's coming up here. I would take a look at your birth chart, and I would like to see, I would like you to see where Virgo falls in your birth chart, because Virgo will rule one of the houses in your birth chart, depending on what your rising sign is. So to determine what your rising sign is, you will have to have your exact time of birth and location. If you aren't able to do that, that's okay. Maybe take a look at your chart as is, and usually unless a transit or moving from one sign to another was happening with a planet on the day that you were born, you're able to get some sort of grasp as to what your chart looks like, and what different planets are in different signs and all of that good stuff. I do know that at least the year I was born in 1994. I have my Chiron in Virgo. And you may have your Chiron in Virgo if we're roughly the same age. So you may want to take a look at that. And then wherever Virgo falls in your birth chart, and where it falls, whatever house it's in, is going to tell you a little bit more information, obviously, about what you came here to heal. But with Chiron coming out here, I feel again, you came here for very deep healing. You came here and reincarnated into this lifetime to provide that link, to provide that breaking of the chain and starting a new one, providing that deep healing that's needed. And so I think that ultimately something that you also are needing to let go of is this idea that you can save everybody, right? Virgo is very much so self-sacrificing. They really do enjoy helping others and lifting others up. And while that's a beautiful, great thing, I think Virgo tries to save people, tries to help people that may not be ready for that help. And it's usually not in a terrible sacrificing way, but we do have to recognize that Virgo sits opposite of Pisces, and there is still that, there's still that similarity there, because Pisces can be very self-sacrificing to others, while Virgo just likes to be of service to others, right? And Virgo will overextend themselves to help other people. And so what I'm really sensing here is that perhaps you've tried to help with the healing process with certain family members, but it's important for you to remember that the only person you can save is yourself. The only person that you can heal and take care of fully is you. We can't force other people to change. We can't force other people to heal. We can't force other people to see things the way that we do. All we can do is focus on ourselves. And perhaps once, we've moved into a certain direction, or we've done things a certain way, then people may be inspired to follow suit. But I think you need to let go of this idea that it's your job to heal everyone in your family, when it's really just your job to heal you. It's really just your job to break the chain and to heal yourself, so that the future generations that come after you don't have to do as much work, right? And don't have as many issues with their family and with their line as you did, right? All we can do is save ourselves. You have to stop focusing so much on healing everyone else and trying to save everyone else, because you can't. People have to want to heal themselves and save themselves. And if they don't want to make changes, we can't force them to, right? So I feel like that's why this is coming up, is that reminder to let go of this idea that it's your job to save and heal everyone. It's not, okay? you can still be of service to other people by, you know, being their ear, listening to them, and providing advice if and when asked. We can't just expect people to like hear our advice or like want to take our advice without asking for it. And it is okay to be like an example and lead as an example, and that often inspires change in other people, but unfortunately we can't be the ones that force them to change and do things differently. Okay, so let's take a look here at this other deck and see what other information we can get regarding what you need to let go of here, my group number 3s. Okay, I'm gonna do one more shuffle. And we'll go ahead and cut. So we have Come to the Edge, which we got earlier actually, and Higher Power. So I got Come to the Edge, I think, for group number 1. I promise I shuffle my cards, but I even shuffle them off like camera when I'm switching between groups. But anyway, with Come to the Edge here, I think that ultimately this is Spirit's way of saying, like, I'm sorry, they're like kids playing like quite a bit across from me that are like screaming out there. If it gets really loud, I will stop. But with Come to the Edge coming out here, I do feel like, unfortunately, it's gonna feel like you have to come to the edge and almost fall over the cliff before you can really start fully healing and like breaking those generational chains, right? And I think that this may not be the case, and this may not be everyone's story. I'm gonna pause real quick because my cat is eating, so give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that, y'all. I'm back. You may hear my lovely little baby Luna purring away here because I just decided to go ahead and hold her. She was coming over like she needed some cuddles and some attention. So hopefully we don't have any more disturbances. But as I was saying, unfortunately, it may feel like some of you have to come to the very edge, like to where you feel like you have nothing left in you to give, nothing left in you. Like really, really approaching that like dark night of the soul before you can really do that deep, deep healing that's needed. And for some of you, that may look like cutting off family members that don't support you, that are terrible like to you, right? And that treat you terribly. And again, that's very difficult. That's very hard, especially like, I feel like this is very well correlating with the 5 of Cups here, as well as the 10 of Swords, because with the 5 of Cups, you know, we can feel very deflated in the moment, like we have nothing left to give, nothing left to move forward to. And with the 10 of Swords here, it's reminding us of our resiliency, reminding us of how capable we are, even though the change and like the shift can be very difficult, and having to move away from certain family members or like completely cut off communication with them can be hard. Sometimes it's really, really needed for us to do that healing that we need. So ultimately, you'll know if this applies to you. I can't say, because, you know, this is a general reading and there's going to be more than, you know, a couple of you listening to this pile, I'm sure. But, you know, it's just, I feel like it's coming to the edge, but it's so, so needed. Coming to this edge of, oh my God, like, what am I even going to do next? And then realizing, you know what, I am resilient, I am capable, and I don't need to have these people in my life that treat me terribly just because they're my family. And then with Higher Power coming out here, I feel like this is really like Spirit's way of saying that, and like even your deceased ancestors' way of saying that they're here to guide you, they're here to help you, they're here to reinvigorate you, and they're also here if you need guidance, if you need help, if you need like somebody to just vent and cry to. But ultimately too, like, I think that this is speaking to yourself, like your higher self as well. and your higher self ultimately loves you and just like wants to be here to help and guide you as needed. And like there is a reason to all of this, right? Like this is something that your soul needed to experience in this lifetime so you can continue to grow and learn on this physical plane. So yeah, I feel like that's why that's coming out for you guys. Now I'm gonna try and shuffle these cards while I'm holding Luna, so give me a second. She's like digging her claws into me too. She's such a little booger sometimes. She's like, don't put me down, don't put me down. Okay. Sorry, Mama, it's just the cards. Do you want to be put down? Do I scare you? Okay, let's put you down, Mama. Okay, well, you gotta choose one or the other. Do you want to be up here? You can if you're gonna get scared, you're gonna jump. Oh, sorry, baby. Sorry, guys. She gets like very easily startled, so like I feel like the sounds of the cards were a little bit loud for her. She's just so cute though. Okay. She like dug into me though, my god. All right. So this is our last deck here. We can get any final information or words of encouragement from Spirit for you, my group number 3s. Hello. My goodness. Okay, I'll probably have to pick her back up once I'm actually got your cards out here. Sorry, group number 3. She'd be a needy girl when she wakes up from a nap. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and cut. A time to give rather than to take, new moon in Virgo. And then you and your loved ones are safe, new moon in Cancer. Okay, so I feel like with Virgo coming out here twice, I know that it's saying that it's a time to give rather than to take, but I feel like what Spirit's really saying is it's a time to give to yourself rather than taking from your own cup, your own energy, and giving to everyone else around you, right? Especially because we're looking at like what it is we need to let go of, and I feel like this is that like reaffirmation here from Spirit of you don't always have to be the one to sacrifice yourself and sacrifice like your life to make sure that everybody else is healed and safe and satisfied. And you know, I think that ultimately with this coming out again, with Virgo coming out again here, that it is a time for you to give back to yourself. And you don't have to like take from anybody by like what this card is saying, but to make sure that you give back to yourself and you're taken care of and your cup is filled and you're not just staying with like these family members and in these situations against like your own needs. So that's what I feel like is coming up here. And I think with you and your loved ones are safe coming out here, I think that Spirit is again saying like, it's okay. Ooh. Whoa. Let me pause. Be right back. All right, sorry about that. My apartment complex that I live at, which like we've taken most of them down, has those like really thin like white blinds that aren't really blinds but like are annoying if you open a window because they like break off, if you know what I'm talking about. And we still had like one of them on in the bedroom, and Luna like knocked that off. It like almost fell into the candle, and then she came across the table, which you probably saw. So I'm sorry about that. I had to pause and like get her out of the room so she didn't hurt herself. But anyway, with the you and your loved ones are safe, new moon in Cancer coming up here, I feel like what Spirit's saying is if you need to take a break from your family, it's okay. Like, you'll be all right. Your family will be all right for the time being. Everybody will be protected, be safe. And you don't have to feel like anything crazy is going to happen. You know, like you'll miss your family. It will be hard. They will miss you. It will be hard, but you're safe, you're protected. And I feel like your ancestors, especially in spirit, is saying like you're okay to do that if you need to. You will be safe and you will be protected. And it will ultimately probably be the best thing for you so that you can do this like deep inner healing that's needed. And again, like I had mentioned, you know, earlier, this doesn't mean that you have to, you know, step away from those relationships forever. And it doesn't even mean that you have to go completely no contact, but like you really need to cut back the time that you spend with your family, with certain people in your family that, you know, treat you a certain way, right? And then I think also like this is coming through too to again signify the Two of Cups for us, that if this happens, like you will be safe and loved, and the people that you meet in the future that you make your family outside of your biological family will also be safe and loved and protected as well. So I see that as like kind of a two-sided thing here. But ultimately, I feel like, you know, you need to let go of this idea that if you were to decrease contact, cut off contact with these people in your family that don't treat you well, that you're going to be okay ultimately. It's going to be hard, things are going to be difficult, and I'm not saying that they won't, but that ultimately things will be all right and you'll be able to heal and do what you need to do then in order to like maybe one day come back to those relationships, as long as those people work on themselves too, right? But yeah, I feel like that's why those are coming up, just like some last minute reassurances here from spirit. But yeah, anyway, I think that I'm gonna leave your guys' reading here. I really enjoyed this one, my group number 3s, and I'm sorry if it seemed heavy, but I don't know, when I was putting out your cards, initially when I saw like the card about breaking the chain, I was like really excited. When I was putting out your cards, I was like, oh, my poor group number 3s. I feel like there's just a lot that you guys have gone through, and I really hope that things start to turn the corner for you and that you're able to heal and do what you need to do, and just know that it's never selfish to take space so that you can do those things. And if somebody doesn't respect that and they don't respect your boundaries, they ultimately don't respect you. So anyway, I love you guys so much. If this resonated for you, please leave me a comment down below letting me know. Give this video a thumbs up so that it can reach as many other people as possible that may need to hear this message. And please leave me a comment, or I already said that. Please subscribe to my channel. I put out new pick a card readings, sometimes tarot collective readings once a week. I love you so much, and I'm really hoping all the best for you guys, group number 3, and just know that things will get better. You will see the sunrise again, and you'll see the light again, okay? But anyway, I love you. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you guys in a future reading. Thank you so much. Bye.